How was your day today? This podcast series often starts with why questions based on first principle thinking. This approach offers you multifaceted perspectives on various life issues. To truly live with a vibrant spirit, let's dive into this episode. There was a monkey, about 15 years old, sitting silently in a corner of its enclosure at the zoo. Its eyes were heavy with sadness, and in its distant gaze there was something truly frightening. Occasionally, it would raise a hand to scratch its head, but each time it scratched, it wouldn't stop, scratching until its skin was raw and bleeding. It didn't bother to groom itself, nor did it care to eat or drink. Its mouth curved downwards as if it were about to cry. It often let out pitiful moans whenever curious children tapped on the glass. This monkey was suffering from depression. It was brought here after being rescued from an illegal animal trade operation. According to the forest ranger, when it was found, it was trapped in a cramped cage, extremely panicked and very weak. Next to it was another monkey, already dead. Perhaps traumatized, terrified, and heartbroken by this loss, upon arrival at the rescue center, it refused to eat or drink, became lethargic, and slipped into depression. It just sat in a corner of the enclosure, trying to look far, far away, but its gaze was clearly always obstructed by iron bars and buildings. Was it trying to recall a distant, peaceful life with its troop in the forest where it belonged? Or was its mind still haunted by the somber shadow of the day it was captured? That day, they cast a huge net. Its leg got tangled, and it couldn't pull free, screaming so loudly that its cries echoed through the entire forest canopy. They prodded its back and belly, and then it fell silent, but its whole body trembled. This depressed monkey has lived in that iron cage for almost a decade. They once tried to return it to the wild, to Mother Nature, but it had completely lost its ability to forage for itself. Its own kind didn't accept it. It would pace back and forth in a straight line, then scratch itself uncontrollably. They had to bring it back to the iron cage, a life stolen. Depression is a mood disorder that can bring prolonged feelings of sadness, loss of interest, and can even lead to actions that threaten one's own life or the lives of those around them. But humans are not the only ones who suffer from depression. Animals are no exception. However, most animal species typically do not contract this illness in the wild. This sad phenomenon is largely caused by human intervention. In a tiger enclosure at the Beijing Zoo, a white tiger continuously walked in circles within an open area of its outdoor exhibit. Its paw prints on the ground formed a perfect circle, demonstrating a typical stereotypical behavior often seen in zoo animals. The transition from a wild environment to a captive one inevitably leads to discomfort in zoos, especially in medium and small cities. If you observe closely, it's not hard to spot such scenes. Some animals move along fixed routes, pacing back and forth, standing still and shaking their heads, or even circling in place. Captive elephants have a habit of swaying their heads back and forth. Captive tigers often walk in circles. Aquatic animals float listlessly on the water or repeatedly bump against the glass walls with their bodies, or swim in endless circles in their tanks. This kind of meaningless, repetitive, and even self-harming behavior is a sign of boredom, neurological disorders, or depression. This is because the greatest characteristic of wild animals is their wildness and naturalness, their ability to integrate with their environment and live without constraints. However, when they are moved from the wild to man-made captive spaces, their movement is restricted and their living habits are altered. If they cannot adapt, some animals will develop these abnormal, repetitive, stereotypical behaviors. From the stories of these depressed animals, what lessons can humans learn? Beyond a warning to those who cause millions of long-term pains for fleeting pleasures, urging every individual to consciously protect Mother Nature and join hands to prevent illegal trade and the deprivation of animals' natural habitats, this podcast will take a different approach to help individuals suffering from depression find their own way out. In his book, Lost Connections, author Johann Hari shared this. In the rainforest, the environment where monkeys evolved to survive, they are sometimes bullied by their social group. And when this happens, they start to behave differently. They might scratch themselves uncontrollably, sit apart from the group and stare into the distance, groom themselves much less, and refuse to let other monkeys approach them. This is a state equivalent to depression in humans. They are being treated badly, and they are reacting to that sorrow and feeling of hopelessness. But what's even more noteworthy is that in the wild, there's a limit to how much this depression can develop in these monkeys. However, in zoos, it seems depressed monkeys slide deeper and deeper. They'll scratch until their skin is raw and bleeding. They'll howl, they'll develop tics or start swaying uncontrollably. Not only observed in monkeys, numerous studies from over a century ago on captive animals also show that when deprived of their natural habitat, animals often suffer from symptoms akin to extreme despair. Parrots will pluck their own feathers, horses will shake their heads incessantly, elephants will grind their tusks, which are naturally their source of strength and pride. Some captive animals suffer such severe trauma that they sleep standing for years, twitching their bodies restlessly. So, why do animals suffer from much more severe depression when separated from their natural habitats? We have long known that almost all types of mental health problems, including serious issues like neurotic disorders or schizophrenia, are much worse in cities than in rural areas. A group of scientists at a British university conducted a mental health study on over 5,000 households over 3 years. They specifically examined two types of households: those who moved from rural areas to cities and those who moved from cities back to rural areas. They wanted to see if there was any change in the level of depression in these individuals. The results were very clear. People who moved to greener areas showed a significant decrease in depression, while those who left green areas showed an increase in depression. Of course, the scientists also considered all external factors affecting this increase. It's possible that rural areas have stronger communities, less crime, and less pollution, and these factors, rather than just green spaces, might be the reason people felt healthier. Therefore, they conducted another study to filter out these influencing factors. They compared inner-city areas with some green spaces to similar inner-city areas without green spaces. All factors compared, such as the level of social connection, were identical, but the results showed that areas with more greenery had less stress and less despair. Author Johann Hari of this book also offered the following explanation. To understand why we feel healthier in natural landscapes, we must start with something truly fundamental. We are animals, but we keep forgetting that. When we seek solutions for our negative emotions, we try to find them in language, in the symbols we create as a species. But these symbols are only a recent development in the long course of history. We have been vertebrates for nearly 500 million years, mammals for about 300 million years, and primates for 65 million years. We have been moving animals for far longer than we have been speaking animals or animals capable of communicating concepts. Yet, we still think that depression can be cured at this conceptual level. In reality, the answer is very simple. Fix the physiology first. Go outside and move. There's a fascinating detail about the life of the Buddha. He was born under a tree, he achieved enlightenment under a tree while sitting silently beneath the Bodhi tree, and he passed away under a tree. These details are a metaphor that human life is inextricably linked with nature, from birth until death, realizing that our own origins are not separate from the origins of all things in nature. Biologist E.O. Wilson also argued that all humans have a natural awareness of something called biophilia, meaning a love of nature. It is an innate love for the landscapes in which humans have lived for most of their existence, as well as the natural web of life that surrounds and sustains them. Most animals suffer if deprived of the landscape they evolved to live in. A frog can still survive on land, but it will surely suffer and soon give up. Yet, humans think they are an exception to this rule. Scientific evidence also clearly shows that exercise significantly reduces depression and anxiety. This is because it brings us back to a more natural state, a place where we can express our true nature. We are animals, we are meant to move. Our endorphins increase. Children and adults alike, if they don't move and aren't in nature for a certain period, can hardly be considered fully healthy organisms. So, what about those who run on treadmills in a gym compared to those who run in nature? Both reduce depression, but those who run in nature experience a greater reduction. So, what's the remaining factor? You probably already have the answer. Trust me, trees have healing power. Like all living beings, trees carry a specific energy frequency, also known as vibration. The vibration of trees is much slower, deeper, and more patient than most other living beings. This creates a sense of reliability, stability, and security because trees are anchored to Mother Earth. They connect us to the ground. Just walking among them, or placing your hand on them, or simply looking deeply into them, you will feel magical things that help you tap into and focus your own energy. Nature helps us live more inclusively. Humans are born from nature. Placing ourselves amidst nature, we stand equal to all things. Unconsciously, we are reminded of non-distinction, allowing us to perceive everything with greater ease. The second reason why depressed or anxious people feel better in natural landscapes is that when confronted with vast nature, we get the feeling that we and our worries are actually very small. This very feeling shrinks our ego down to a manageable size. We get trapped in our own stories and thoughts. They linger in our minds with stubborn bitterness and foolishness. Falling into depression or anxiety is the process of becoming a prisoner of one's own ego. But when you connect with nature, standing before its immense grandeur, you will find something profoundly healthy. You feel you are part of a larger system, a node in a giant tapestry. There are days when I feel terrible. Everything is overwhelming, and I'm helpless, just wanting to lie down and cry. At those times, I often say I want to leave here, go to the forest, the sea, the mountains, and gaze at the sky. Then I realize many others feel the same way. It turns out we are all alike. Just seeing beautiful, vast things makes one's heart feel light. Seeing the blue of the sea, the green of the forest, calms the soul. But paradoxically, even when going to gaze at the sea and sky, or immersing oneself in lush green fields, nothing actually changes in reality, because the problems are still there, the lingering worries still exist. Yet, strangely, our hearts feel lighter. Perhaps things like the ocean, the sky, or the fields awaken something within us. Faced with those vast, endless mountains and seas, a sense of reassurance arises within us. Beneath these towering and expansive wonders, perhaps our worries are merely specks of dust. Nature always soothes anyone who truly loves it. In the endless tranquility of nature, there are moments when all worries and losses subside. It is at that very moment that we know we love a single flower as much as we love an entire, vast forest. The life of the depressed monkey was stolen, but we hope this story can save hundreds, thousands of other lost beings. Come back, return to yourself, come back to embrace the trees, immerse yourself in the lush green of the sky and foliage. Overwrite the painful memories, gently touch each flower petal with your fingertips, breathe deeply the fragrant scent of wood and grass. Come back to nature. Give yourself a break to regain your strength and continue your next journey. So, let's write the rest of that depressed monkey's life story together, shall we? There was a depressed monkey who saved itself.